It's my privilege to introduce to you my wife, Dr. LaRose McCluskey. Dr. LaRose has done mission programs primarily preaching the Three Angels messages, using the sanctuary as a teaching tool, and holding clinics in more than 20 countries. As a result, she has had more than 5,000 prepared for baptism at the end of those programs, with many more who had requested baptism after she left as a result of her ministry. She has preached on the radio and television in some of these countries as well, preparing series that they can use over and over. She's a physician and surgeon with 26 years of experience practicing all over the world. As a theologian, Dr. Rose has been concentrating on adult evangelism for the last 11 years. She has held meetings with audiences of up to 12,000 and had award-winning lectures in more than 14 universities. The deans of several schools of theology have asked that she prepare her materials on the sanctuary as a workbook for them to use in future coursework. It's a surprise that I have to introduce her to you at all, because as it started out, she would never have wanted to be in a place where she would be noticed. God first called her to be an assistant helper in a small Bible class for children at Chapel Oaks in Kansas City, Kansas, in the United States. She agreed to help there as long as she did not have to get up in front of the babies. That is how timid she was. But God had other plans for her. Within a short time, she was a leader there. By the time we moved back to Portland, Oregon, Dr. Rose was a full-fledged physician and surgeon and had previously finished a master's level pediatric nurse practitioner course in Loma Linda, California. Besides her Bachelor of Science in Nursing at Walla Walla College, she had also received a degree in theology. Once in Portland, she was asked to lead out in the kindergarten room during a Ken Cox crusade. That was the first time that she had a large group to deal with. There were about 100 3- to 5-year-olds every night and more on weekends. Although she felt totally inadequate, that is just what God wanted. He was then able to work with her. Uncle Bill Jamerson, who was in charge of the children's meetings, told me that she was the most gifted children's leader that he had ever worked with. When Lonnie Milashenko of the Voice of Prophecy was called to go to Perm near Siberia in Russia, Uncle Bill was asked to go along as the children's leader. But when he could not go, he said that Lonnie had to get LaRose. Lonnie called up LaRose and asked her to come along as children's leader. She had a difficult struggle in prayer. She could not see herself leaving her children and medical practice. But she dreamed 3 nights in a row that the children of Russia held their hands out to her begging for the gospel. Finally, she agreed. Lonnie had told her to only bring 2 suitcases, but we had a van full of boxes of coloring books in Russian and English on the sanctuary that LaRose had written and drawn for the meetings, along with crayons, prizes for answering quizzes correctly, and other things that would make any children's program a success. A truck had to pull up to the plane to unload just her things. There was a TV camera crew shooting a story on something when she arrived, and asked her to come to the station the next day to tell why she was in Perm. It was obviously directed by God, because Adra had recently been there and the TV crew thought that they had come back with more boxes. LaRose found a pretty little girl on the bus and asked her and her mother to come along with her to be on TV. and then gave her samples of the coloring book and crayons and quiz prizes that the children would get for coming to the meetings live on TV. Lonnie had 2 meetings a day, and there was a children's meeting during each adult meeting. Children started lining up to get in an hour before it was time to start. The hall where they were supposed to meet was supposedly only able to hold 150. It had benches without backs in straight rows. For each meeting, about 1,000 children crowded into that hall. The bigger kids would all sit back to back on the benches and hold the smaller kids on their laps, and the rest would sit around on the floor. 200 children of that group asked to be baptized. Since then, LaRose has been working with the Adventist Church in evangelism around the world. Since she is also a family practice physician, she holds clinics wherever she can. On one recent trip to Guyana, she held the first meeting at 4:30 in the morning, and then after breakfast had clinics all day long, and then had another meeting in the evening. On Sabbath, she would preach 4 times during the day. When she is home, she continues to be active at church in the young people's Sabbath school classes and at prayer meetings. She gives God the glory for giving her the strength for getting all of this done, but she also cuts out many of the things that others would count as part of their routines, such as games and television, and concentrates on reading the Bible and other religious books as well as medical resources. We all miss her when she's gone, but we know that she is doing an important work. I trust that you will enjoy the stories on this DVD and that you will have your faith strengthened by them. She has more than 600 stories of answered prayer on more than 45 other DVDs you may wish to ask her about.